I want you to close your eyes for a second and transport yourself to Cairo, Egypt. Specifically, the neighborhood of Manshiat Nizar. It's July 2014. It is 2:00 a.m.
And 2 a.m. there, especially during Ramadan, is not what you'd think. It isn't silent.
Not at all. The streets aren't dead. They are vibrating. There's this distinct electric energy in the air. You've got lanterns strung up between buildings. Cafes are open. The smell of food is everywhere because people are awake for suhoor, the pre-dawn meal.
That atmosphere is so critical here. You have a community that's hyper-aware, hyper-awake. Everyone is watching, connecting, which just makes the isolation of what happens inside one specific third-floor apartment feel, incredibly claustrophobic.
Exactly. We're zooming in past all the noise and the lights to this one apartment building. The door to a third-floor unit opens and a man walks in. We'll call him the husband.
And he is just shattered.
Absolutely shattered. He's been working a brutal shift, long hours, manual labor. His body is aching, his eyes are heavy, and really the only thing on his mind is his bed.
It's that kind of exhaustion where you're just on autopilot. You just want the day to be over.
He walks down the hallway, dragging his feet, heading straight for the bedroom. But as he reaches for the handle, the door swings open from the inside. It's his wife, Nora. She's young, only 21.
And she is practically vibrating with anxiety.
He blocks his path. She's frantic, talking way too fast, saying, "No, don't go in there. I'm cleaning. It's a mess. Why don't you sleep in the other room?"
Okay, let's just pause right there. It's 2 in the morning. Your husband just got home from a double shift.
Yeah.
And you're claiming to be deep cleaning the bedroom.
Right.
Under any normal circumstance, that is a huge flashing red sign that something is very wrong.
It makes zero sense. But again, the husband is a zombie at this point. He's too tired to argue, too tired to even question it. He just pushes past her, grumbling something, enters the bedroom, kicks off his shoes, and just collapses into bed.
Within minutes, he's out cold.
And this is the scene. This is the part that is just so chilling. You have the husband, deeply asleep, dreaming. You have Nora, lying next to him, her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, absolutely terrified.
And just 3 feet away, in the corner of that same room, is a large wooden wardrobe.
And inside that wardrobe, hidden behind the doors, is a corpse.
A dead man, folded into the closet. The husband spends the entire night sleeping peacefully next to a murder victim with no idea.
It's a scenario straight out of a horror movie, but it's real. And the question we have to answer today isn't just who is the man in the wardrobe. It's how on earth did a 21-year-old mother end up living with a corpse and her husband in the same room for a full 24 hours?
To get there, we have to look at the morning after, because the sun comes up.
The husband wakes up, washes his face, gets dressed, and heads right back out to work. Still completely oblivious.
Which leaves Nora alone in that apartment. Again. But now she's with her young daughter and a decomposing body.
The psychological pressure there must have been unimaginable.
Oh, every sound from the street, every creak of the floorboards must have sounded like police sirens. She's watching the clock, knowing she can't keep this hidden. It's a ticking time bomb.
And eventually that pressure just breaks her. By that evening, she can't take it anymore. She calls her brother.
Hysterical, sobbing into the phone.
She tells him, "I killed a man." But she frames it as a tragedy. She says, "I didn't mean to. I was defending myself. I didn't know what else to do."
Her brother, to his credit, is the voice of reason. He knows immediately you can't just keep a body in a closet. He rushes over, and they go straight to the police station.
And this is where we get the official story. The narrative Nora constructs to save her own life.
Right, so you can picture the interrogation room, harsh lights, tired detectives.
And Nora's sitting there, looking small and terrified. She tells the police that a man knocked on her door earlier that day. He said he was a sales representative.
Specifically, selling cleaning products. Detergents, that kind of thing, wholesale.
Right. She says she opened the door, and when this man realized she was alone, he just forced his way in, pushed her into the bedroom, and tried to assault her.
It's a story that immediately makes you feel for her. A young mother, home alone, defending her honor.
Exactly. She claims that during the struggle, she just happened to grab a knife, pure luck it was nearby, and she stabbed him to save herself. She said she was so panicked and terrified of the authorities that she hid the body instead of calling for help.
And her husband. When he's brought in, he believes her instantly. He's devastated, of course, but he sees her as a hero, as a victim who did what she had to do.
But the detectives, they're a different story. They're not emotionally involved. They're just looking at the facts. And almost immediately, they start seeing cracks in this perfect self-defense story.
The first crack is just human behavior. If a stranger breaks into your house and tries to kill you and you survive, your instinct is to scream, to run.
You call the police, you run to neighbors.
Right. You get help. You don't quietly stuff the attacker into a wardrobe, clean up, let your husband come home and sleep in the room with the body, and then wait another full day to say anything.
The silence is the loudest piece of evidence against her.
It really is. It suggests calculation, not panic. Panic is loud.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's the whole salesman story itself.
Yeah, that falls apart pretty quick.
Yeah.
This is Manchattanazer. It's a very tight-knit, high-density neighborhood. The detectives just start walking the block, asking neighbors, hey, did a guy come by selling cheap soap yesterday?
And what do they hear?
Nothing. Crickets. This supposed salesman didn't knock on the first floor, didn't knock on the second. He didn't talk to anyone on the street. He apparently just floated up to the third floor, knocked only on Nora's door, and ignored every other potential customer.
Which is not how sales works. You knock on every door.
Exactly. And let's go back to the Ramadan factor. The building was awake. People were home. Windows were probably open. If there was a violent struggle, a fight to the death with a knife, someone would have heard something. A scream.
But the neighbors reported nothing.
Zero. It was quiet.
And what about his sales stuff? If he was a salesman, where were his samples?
The police searched that apartment from top to bottom.
Yeah.
No sample case, no brochures, no bottles of detergent, nothing. Just a dead man in a wardrobe who had absolutely no professional reason to be there.
So the police are skeptical. The story isn't adding up. They send the body to the morgue for an autopsy. And this is where the case pivots from just suspicious to incriminating.
They undress the corpse. They identify him as a 29-year-old man named Walid. And inside his pants pocket, they find the one thing every criminal should destroy but never does.
His mobile phone.
It's always the phone. They pull the call logs. Now remember, Nora's claim was, he is a stranger. I have never seen this man before in my life.
But the phone tells a very different story, doesn't it?
The phone completely destroys that story. The very last outgoing call on Walid's phone was to Nora.
On the day of the murder.
Minutes before he walked into that building. And this wasn't a one-off call. The police subpoenaed the records from the telecom company, and they find a history. We're talking hundreds of calls over the last year.
Wow. So this wasn't a random attack. This was an ongoing relationship.
Intimately, they knew each other very well. This completely dismantles her stranger danger defense.
So who was Walid, really? If he wasn't selling soap, what was he doing there?
Walid was a Naqash, a painter and decorator. He had a stable job, lived in a totally different part of Cairo. He had no reason to be in Manchattanazer that day, except to see Nora.
And once his photo started circulating, people started talking.
Yes, a neighbor confirmed it. I've seen that guy.
Yeah.
And not just that day. He'd been seen entering that building multiple times over the past few months. He was a regular.
The net is just tightening and tightening.
Sure.
But I want to get to the forensics. Because the autopsy report didn't just identify him, it told the story of how he died.
This is where forensic pathology becomes the ultimate truth teller. The body keeps the score. Nora described a standing struggle. She said he was attacking her. She was fighting back. It was chaos.
A frantic stabbing in self-defense.
But the medical examiner looked at the wound. A single stab wound to the heart. The crucial detail, though, was the angle. The trajectory of the blade was superior to inferior.
Meaning downward.
Steeply downward. Now just think about the physics of that. For a woman of Nora's height to inflict a steep downward stab on a man of Walid's height while they're both standing and fighting, it's almost mechanically impossible. It would imply she was somehow hovering over him.
So what does that angle really tell the investigators?
It tells them the victim was likely lower than the attacker. Specifically, the evidence strongly suggested Walid was lying on his back, and Nora was positioned over him.
That is a chilling detail. It implies he wasn't attacking her at all. He was vulnerable.
He was exposed and likely relaxed. It contradicts every single word of her self-defense story.
So faced with the call logs, the witnesses, and the undeniable physics of the stab wound, the police confront Nora again.
And her story just collapses. She breaks down. And finally, we get the truth, the real story. And to understand the murder, we have to go back a full year.
It all starts at a bus station. Nora is sitting there, alone. And you have to understand her headspace. Her husband is much older. He works those brutal shifts we talked about, often sleeps away from home. She's 20 years old, raising a child, and she feels completely alone, invisible.
She's lonely. And that vulnerability is often where these things begin.
At the bus station, she makes eye contact with a stranger, Walid. He approaches her. He's charming. He listens. He gives her the attention she's been starving for. They exchange numbers.
It starts out innocently enough, just phone calls, emotional support. But then, with her husband away so often, Walid starts visiting the apartment.
And it becomes a full-blown affair.
Yes. And we have to remember, in her community, an affair like this isn't just a mistake. It's a massive social taboo. If she's caught, she loses everything. Her daughter, her home, her entire reputation.
Yeah.
But they continued, until the dynamic shifted.
This is the dark turn, because it stopped being a romance. Walid wasn't just a lover anymore. He became a predator.
Over the course of their affair, Walid convinced Nora to let him take photos and videos of her. Compromising photos, semi-nude images. He used that classic line, "It's just for us. It's our secret."
But when the guilt, or maybe the fear of getting caught, started eating at her, she tried to end it. She tried to break up with him.
And that's when Walid played his card. He weaponized those photos. He told her, "You don't get to leave. If you stop seeing me, I will post these photos online. I'll send them to your husband."
I mean, for a woman in her position, that is a social death sentence.
It's blackmail. Plain and simple. He had her trapped. The police actually confirmed this. They cracked the password on his phone and found the gallery of photos. The threat was absolutely real.
So she's cornered. She can't leave him because he'll destroy her life. She can't stay because the risk is eating her alive. And that brings us to the 25th of Ramadan. She decides there's only one way out. She has to silence him.
This was premeditated murder. Not a crime of passion, it was a trap. She invited Walid over. She told him her husband was gone, the coast was clear.
And the details of how she did it. Knowing the autopsy results now, it's horrifyingly calculated.
It is cold. As soon as Walid arrived, she led him to the bedroom. She used their intimacy as the weapon. Before he even got there, she had taken a sharp kitchen knife and hidden it under the pillow on the bed.
Under the pillow.
She let him get comfortable. She let him think this was just another rendezvous. He lay down on the bed, and while they were intimate, which explains why he was on his back and she was positioned above him, she reached under the pillow, pulled out the knife, and drove it straight into his heart.
One strike.
One fatal strike. He died instantly. He never saw it coming.
It's just such a dark perversion of trust. I mean, yes, he was blackmailing her, he was a villain, but in that specific moment, he thought he was safe with her.
And then the reality of what she'd done crashed in. She's standing there with the dead body. She dresses him, and she realizes she can't move him. She's a small woman. He's a dead weight. She can't get a full-grown man out of the apartment without being seen.
So she panics, shoves him in the wardrobe, cleans up, and waits for her husband to come home.
It's the layers of betrayal that are just staggering. The betrayal of her husband with the affair, the betrayal of her lover with the murder, and then betraying her husband again by letting him sleep just feet away from the corpse.
It creates this tragic irony. The whole thing started because she felt lonely and wanted a connection. And that search for connection ended up destroying her life, ending another's, and shattering her entire family.
And think about the husband. He's the ultimate collateral damage. He went from believing his wife was a hero who defended her honor, to finding out she was having an affair, to realizing she is a cold-blooded murderer.
His entire reality was dismantled in 24 hours. I can't imagine the trauma of realizing you were sleeping next to the man your wife murdered. That breaks a person.
It's devastation on a level most of us just can't comprehend.
You know, in the material we analyzed for this deep dive, there was a line that really stuck with me. It said that sometimes humans are capable of acts that make the devil look like an amateur.
It's a harsh truth. When you look at the cold calculation, hiding the knife, using intimacy as a lure, it shows how far fear and desperation can push a person. Nora was so terrified of her secret coming out that she became a monster to keep it.
It raises a provocative question for all of us listening. We all have secrets, maybe not body in the wardrobe secrets, but things we hide. And the question this case poses is, how far would you go to keep that secret buried? At what point does the cover-up become infinitely worse than the crime?
That is the terrifying question. Because Nora decided murder was a better option than exposure. She thought she could trade a life for her reputation.
And in the end, she lost both.
She did. The truth always has a way of surfacing, whether it's on a phone, in a pocket, or in the angle of a wound. You can't hide it forever.
That's it for this deep dive into the secret in the wardrobe. It's a grim reminder that sometimes the most terrifying stories aren't fiction. They are happening behind closed doors while the rest of the world celebrates just outside. Thanks for listening.
Stay safe out there.